Hey, what's up, everyone? So we got a video for you today. You probably know that already because you're watching it. So in this video, I'm going to be drawing my character Elleste. You've probably seen me draw her before. She's like an anthropomorphic rabbit girl. I'm going to talk a little bit more about like her character design and stuff like that, and kind of the process that I went through working on her character. As you can see on the left, I've got a few little like thumbnails. This is a larger piece than what I normally do. It's 9 by 12. I'm probably going to use it for either print or a shirt design or both. We'll see. But I did it like much more in detail than I normally do. Added a lot of like soft shading and stuff like that. I kind of wanted to create a softer image because in my mind she's a very soft character. She went through a lot of changes in the character design process. When I was first working on VU Teal, which was the comic as it was before it was called Errant, which I am eventually going to rewrite. In VU Teal, she was kind of just the bad guy. I'm not going to ruin anything about her story in Errant, but in VU Teal, she felt very one-dimensional. She was only featured for a couple pages, I think. I did have big plans for her in the story, but I was really kind of unhappy with a lot of the character design and the writing for that early comic, and this character especially felt just really like flat and one-dimensional. She was evil, and she has this whole backstory as to why, but like just the visual design of her character was pretty boring. She looked a lot less like feminine. She kind of looked a little bit more masculine and almost a little bit more animal. And that's not exactly what I wanted for her character. So I have been redesigning her and working on her since Errant, which came out after VU Teal. But I decided to make her a more identifiable character, almost like you can identify with her a little bit more, because previously she was just like mysterious. You didn't know anything about her, and I don't know, it felt kind of boring to me. So before anything big happened in the story with her, I wanted you to get to know like her as a character first, because the way I was going to tell it in VU Teal, tell the story, is you see her as she is a certain way, and then you learn why she became that way. But instead, with this story, I'd rather show you how she is and then show you what she becomes. I don't know. It makes sense in my head. It's kind of hard to explain. But I wanted to make her a lot more feminine, a lot more gentle looking at first. She used to have, she had a ponytail. She had like a braided ponytail before, but she didn't really have any hair on her head. A lot of the characters in VU Teal early on, the mammal characters, didn't have any sort of like hairstyles. They kind of just had like tufts of hair on their head, which was really sticking to the more anthropomorphic side of them being like, bipedal mammals, essentially. You got like felines and rabbits and dogs and stuff like that. But they all ended up kind of looking generic, whereas I did want to make it more realistic as opposed to, human-seeming characters with like animal features. I wanted them to seem a lot more animal at first, and they did, but it made them kind of, I don't know, like I wasn't able to portray the emotion that I wanted to with the characters when they were more on the animal end of things, especially with Elleste, because she's a very complex character, so being able to read her emotion is certainly important for telling her story. So I decided to add like essentially hairstyles to a lot of the characters. Spriggan and Elleste both got essentially like haircuts, and I think that moved a lot more towards being an identifiable character, a character that you can identify with, and still having those animal features, because unlike a lot of anthropomorphic characters you see, these characters are completely covered from head to toe in fur, and they're more on the animal spectrum of things, but less so than the original story in VU Teal and the original characters in there. But that comic too, I mean, like, it was cool, like it was drawn okay, like the colors were a lot of work, but My issues with it were that it dumped a lot of characters on you really, really fast without giving you almost any information about them. So like the characters were cool and interesting looking, but they weren't actually interesting in the way that the story was written. Like so many things happened so fast that it was really hard to get attached to any of the characters, which I really kind of studied that as I've been working on more comics. And I find that starting with fewer characters and letting you get attached to them a little bit more slowly, I think that invests you in the story a little bit more. So when I rewrote Errant, like I did like a test issue. It's still available on my Gumroad. You can still find it. It's a free download because it was basically just like a test. I was experimenting with style and stuff like that, but it's a full-length comic. I am going to rewrite that and redraw it. More importantly, I like the writing how it is. I'm probably just going to redraw it, but she's a much more empathetic character. Elleste specifically starts off as one of the main characters in Errant, as opposed to V.U. Teal, and I'm just feeling better about it because I'm gonna let her character develop as the story goes on, rather than doing the like backwards, like start you at the end and then you see the beginning stuff. Like that stuff works sometimes, but I don't know. I think it's better just to be straightforward, especially if you've got a main character. I think it's more entertaining to watch them grow and develop rather than, just be told everything, like, oh, this is why they are, having flashbacks or whatever. It's very, I don't know. It's very like heavy-handed, I think, to do it that way, to kind of just go back and explain why things are the way they are. I think with comics, it's a lot easier to show why things are the way they are, especially with characters, and if you pay close attention, I think that you'll notice, a lot more emotion and a lot more range and a lot more growth if you think about in your characters, if you think about it that way, because I think that, the key to a good character is identifying with them and being able to empathize with them, kind of feel what they feel and see things from their point of view rather than just being told how they feel. Comics is such, and any sort of sequential art, animation, anything like that, is such an amazing medium because, unlike a book, you're essentially, how am I going to say this? Unlike a book, you've got all these visuals to go along with the story, but, you can tell story through the visuals and you can create character development through the visuals. I think it would be a fun challenge to create a character and, make a short comic where there's like character development and story, but there's absolutely no words whatsoever, no dialogue, no nothing. I think that'd be a really fun exercise because I think it's really important to tell the reader or the audience about a character visually as much as through what they say. And I think about that a lot with comics. It's such a unique medium, and there's so many possibilities. You can do absolutely anything when it comes to comics. So I like to think about new and creative ways to basically tell stories that have been being told for a long time. Comics have been around for a long time. Books have been around for even longer. How can you really push the medium? How can you really push the format? And like think about how you're going to make your characters grow and develop and be interesting in this format, and using the format as a tool to tell your story as well. I think it's really fascinating, and I think there's still innovation in comics. To this day, comics have been out for decades, but people are still finding new and interesting ways to do things with them, and I think that's really fantastic, and it's why I'm so passionate about comics, I think, because I think it's just one of these things that we haven't really seen the true potential of yet. But anyway, there I go rambling away. I had a really good time doing this drawing. You've been watching and listening, but I wanted to start with a really soft drawing at first and kind of build the layers on top of it because I don't know, like my thoughts about the character, she's very soft character from the outside. She seems very kind, but she's actually very, very complex. So I kind of wanted to emulate that idea of, having a complex layered character in my drawing, and was kind of just experimenting a bit. Normally I'm a straight to line work type of person, as you may know, but I've been experimenting more with like doing sketches and, you know, doing a lot of layering and stuff like that. That's why you saw a lot of erasing at the beginning, because I really wanted to like nail the form and stuff so I could really spend a lot of time building on top of it. But hey, thanks for watching the video. You know I love you guys. You guys are the best. I appreciate you so dang much. So thanks for watching again, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Bye.